Thank you so much. It is good to be here. He's absolutely correct. I can't see one of you. I can't see a single thing. That's magnificent. All I see is pillars of flame. I'm glad somebody finally read my writer and provided the pillars of flame that I've been requiring of venues all these years. Someone finally did it. I gave you fruit from the desert, a pocket full of stars, a glamour from the eyes of a saint. I gave you roses by the bunches and my very best hunches about everything that is and that ain't. With any kind of luck by now, it's falling on your head tenfold. I'm a fool for believing lies you forgot you told. Now when you begged and you pleaded, well, I spoke the words you needed, although every single one burned my tongue. I gave you faith when it deserted you and kisses till it hurt, and I climbed the silver ladder to the very top of rung, and with any kind of luck by now, it's falling on your head tenfold. I'm such a fool for believing lies. I knew all along, and I knew all along. I knew all along, I knew all along. Oh, 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 oh. I gave you handwriting and tears, an antidote to fears, a plumb line to the bottom of the well. That time when you asked about my secret book, I showed you every page, at least I think I did, you never can tell. Any kind of luck by now is falling on your head tenfold. I'm such a fool for believing lies. I'm such a fool for believing the lies you forgot you told. Oh, oh, oh. Thank you so much. Oh, it is good to be back. I don't get down here often enough. I am from Wisconsin, where it snowed today. It snowed on my house today in Wisconsin. So when I say I don't get down here often enough, that's not just being polite. I factually do not get down here enough because it didn't snow here today. You know what I'm saying? I was in Alaska last week, where not only did it snow, but it had snowed, which is horrifying in early October, late September. It's 25 degrees up there in Fairbanks. I'm saying all this to make you feel better about how it is right now. That's really the only thing I'm trying to accomplish. In the middle of the humdrum, there is a sound like a riddle, waiting and a-waiting and a-waiting for your soul to solve it. And in a medicine cabinet, they got a pill to take the edge off, waiting and a-waiting and a-waiting for your tongue to dissolve it. But you don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell me, you don't have to tell me, I already know. In the middle of a lifetime, the road gets a little squirrely. You might lose your sense of humor for a year or two, And in the middle of the ocean, there is a dolphin with a head cold. And you probably think about him just as often as he thinks of you. But you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. I already know. You can wonder if you mean it, or you can just put a hand out. You can lay it on me. I can second that emotion. We can make the moment stand out. We can lock it all down, or we can set it all free. But you don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. I already know. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me. I already know. You don't have to tell me. I already know. Oh, thank you. Maybe I should explain. I was a little kid, and I was watching The Muppet Show one day, and I loved The Muppet Show. Probably some of you remember The Muppet Show, right? And remember loving it. I loved it because it was this beautiful little childlike insurrectionist world that was like our little world. And this thing happened, this moment happened. You never see them coming when they come, these little moments. But this guy in a tuxedo stalked onto the stage of the Muppet Theater somberly, and I knew immediately. He sat down at this grand piano, and I knew he was like a grown-up, and he was going to play that boring grown-up music that my parents loved, and I was outraged. I was just like pissed off. You know, they'd ruined my show. They'd snuck that sort of boring thing in. But the thing is, he was Victor Borge. And he was the Danish comedian, so like he sat down and he like did like a rolling trill on the piano, and he trilled all the way up to the treble register of the piano, and just kept trilling when he ran out of keys. And he hurled himself off the piano bench and into the orchestra pit and onto Animal's drum set. And I pointed at the screen and I turned to my mother and I said, "I want to do that. That's the thing I want to do with my life." So then she was a great mom, you know, and she got me into this all roller skate production of the musical Oklahoma that took place in a Baptist church in my neighborhood. This is the truth, too, man. If we had had a camcorder, we'd be rich people now, because there'd be a documentary. There was this musical director, and what she had was, you know, she had chutzpah and she had a roller rink. So every year she did a musical on roller skates, like South Pacific on roller skates, Oklahoma on roller skates. So I was in, so I was in Oklahoma. Basically my entire job was to skate counterclockwise, holding a sign that said, "Poor Judd could slop hogs with the best of them." And then from there I went on to get a degree. I was educated in method acting at the hands of Jesuit priests at a Jesuit college in the Midwest on a scholarship that Liberace put together. This is all true. You can all look all of this up. This actually happened. And this next part is not true. When you get that scholarship, they make you sign an agreement that you'll be a subway musician in a major metropolitan area. So now this part is true again. After school, I moved out to Boston, and I became one of those dudes playing down in the subways in the morning. And one day, I was playing on the subway platform in Davis Square in Somerville, and I looked down, I looked around me, I looked at the poetry. There was actual poetry that was inscribed in the bricks This would have been about 1992, and I had what the Jesuits, and for that matter the alcoholics, refer to as a moment of clarity. And I burst into song, and here I am. Really, that led to this, 20 years on. And by 20, I mean 22. Inside the tunnels, the stone tunnels, are the trains. And inside the trains, the steel trains, are the bags of skin. And inside the thin skin are the blood and the bones. And inside the blood and the bones are the dreams. It really is that simple. It really is that fragile. I am one such dream inside the blood and the bags and the bones and the trains and the tunnels. And there is a dream sitting next to me, and there is a dream across from me. Fragile. Now, we all know that one day the tunnels will crumble and the trains will stop and the blood and the bags and the bones will all be gone. And in between now and then, we know something must happen to every dream. I don't know what will happen to the other dreams, but I know what will happen to me. Sure as rain, I know. Sure as winter. I will breathe and grieve and struggle and strive and love and love and love. And if I'm lucky, once, just once, the dream will drop to the floor like a vase and shatter in shards of silence. But I will see, in the pattern of the pieces, I will see something. This will happen. But for now, that train with all its precious cargo rolls on. I know, how about it? That's a lot to lay on people at 6 in the morning on their way to work, right? I was 22, in my defense. I was 22. I mean, I feel sometimes that I should go back into the Boston subway these 2 decades later and just be like, you know, it's not the pale moon that excites me. Just give them a song and send them on their way to work. I mean, I've spent the last 20 years working. Now I get it. Like, okay, don't mess with commuters. Well, here's a song from my new record, which is, I think, my 15th or 16th record. I lost track. Pretty much I would have to saw myself in half and count the rings in order to figure out how many records I've made by now. Because I've made a lot, and I make records pretty much so that I can get on the road and do this thing that I'm doing right now, right here in front of you, which is to play music. But this is called What Else Was It? The record was produced by Chuck Prophet. That was a spectacular experience. He's like the last rock and roller. He's like the last guy out there just playing rock shows and rock clubs. And he's magnificent, but man, it was hard to work with him. If you go to him and you say, hey, Chuck, you know, aesthetic choice A or aesthetic choice B, his gut response is like, what does it have to be a letter, man? It could be a number, it could be 5, it could be a color, it could be blue, it could be a bird, and if it's the right bird, this song's going to fly. So the question I'm asking you is, what kind of bird? And you're like, dude, what? You know, I lay awake that whole first night thinking, this is what we in the business call a $12,000 misunderstanding. But it turned out great. He's a good-hearted artist. That's what it amounts to. You took a shovel to the basement, and you blistered up your hands. You danced all night at the wedding. You stayed up drinking with the band. You made love until the daylight was creeping across the floor. Tell me, what else was it you were looking for? You felt the first chill of November, still right inside your coat, right there where the fragile pulse of living fluttered in your throat. You left the house you thought you lived in. You did not even shut the door. Tell me, what else was it? What else was it you were looking for? Oh, the book of all your precious sorrows had come down off yourself, so you labored over every empty page until you came back to yourself, and you laughed right out loud. Oh, you were light and free and poor. Tell me, what else was it? What else was it that you were looking for? Would you meet me in the clear light? Would you meet me where the leaves are coming down? And if I learn to say your name, would you learn to stick around? Or we could walk and just say nothing, say nothing more. Then what else was it you were looking for? Well, thanks. Here's a tune about Alaska, where I was weirdly on Monday morning. I woke up in Alaska. I love touring up there. I've been touring up there a long time, and because there's this great promoter in Anchorage. He'll bring you up there, and then you can get these little satellite gigs, and you got to get on like a little 6-seater Cessna and fly to Sitka or fly to Kodiak, and it's terrifying and it's wonderful. That place is just plain weird too. Like, there's 500,000 square miles to the state, and there's 500,000 human beings that live there. So they could literally, actually, just all spread out to where they couldn't see each other, which would. There's really something to be said for that. I was playing up there in the summer once. Mostly I go in the wintertime because, man, do they come out to see your shows. They just do. I played in a little tundra town called Bethel at the mouth of the Kuskokwim Delta, and there's 1,500 people in that town, and 300 of them came to that show. I can picture the conversation. Like, Peter Mulvey, have you heard of him? No. Do you know what he sounds like? No. Are you going? Yes. Hell yeah, I'm going. He's the only thing that came here this month. But I played there one time. I did this little tour in the summertime where the sun just never goes down. It just sort of heads for the ground, and then it just levels out, and then it just starts rising again. It's horrifying. And I played the gig, and then I'm like doing what I always do. I'm like drinking whiskey and talking to the promoter about, James Wright and Mary Carr and all the great poets, and just talking about life and poetry. And then we step out onto the street. This was all familiar until we stepped out onto the street part. It was like 1:45, and it's broad damn daylight. And I hear this sound like, I look around, there's a dude mowing his lawn, just mowing his lawn. And I turned to the promoter, like, what the and the guy says, oh, yeah, man, up here we have 2 seasons, suicide and homicide. So this tune is called Windshield. There's a raven on the roof in the sideways light, emptiness black against monochrome bright, filling up my dreams with a monologue. He's never gonna let me go. He's tromping around up there in the snow, and he sounds like the wind, like a ghost, like a child, like a dog. And I'm trying to hear, what does he say? I'm trying to hear, what does he say? And every windshield in this town has seen better days. The door opens up at the top of the stairs, and all of that brutal Arctic air slides into this basement bar and onto the floor. And the sun just rose, and now it's setting, and some people here begin forgetting what it is they came here looking for. Maybe they came to get away. Maybe they came to get away. Every windshield in this town has seen better days. Persephone went and she ate them seeds. Now she's got that driving need to skip town every time the nights get long. And she charms all the boys in their Carhartt jeans until they are twisting in their summer dreams, trying to get within earshot of her song. And she's gonna go no matter who says stay. She's gonna go no matter who says stay. Every windshield in this town has seen better days. Sometimes, out on the edge of town, Timmy shuts the motor down, pulls over to the side of the road, kills the lights. And there, a million stars and a million trees and the blazing moon and the bitter breeze and all of the vast and empty silent night, where you can feel your whole life falling away. You can feel your whole life falling away. Every windshield in this town, every windshield in this town, every windshield in this town has seen better days. Man, that makes Atlanta look good, doesn't it? I'm really pleased to be. I just got this guitar about 3 weeks ago, and as fate would have it, I bought it over the internet from a guitar shop in Auburn, Alabama, where I played maybe 20 years ago a couple of times at the Sundilla Acoustic Concert Series. And I've been looking for this exact guitar. This is a 1939 Martin. It was built the year my father was born on a farm up in Sheboygan County. So I finally found it, and they mailed it to me, and I love it, and I sent it off to my guitar guy, who put a new bridge on it and a new nut and took the neck off and reset it at the proper angle. It's, 75 years is hard on people, but it's real hard on guitars too. But of all things, the 5th gig that I played on it was this Thursday. I played over there in Birmingham, so I brought it back to its native soil. Was happy about that. was talking to Scott about the great Michael Hedges, who was a wonderful guitar player. He died back in '97, and I was an enormous fan. I saw him 2 or 3 times while he was alive, and I ripped this entire tune off from him. I wrote this when I was 19, and I wanted to be Michael Hedges. Although then, by the time I was maybe 22 or 24, and I went and saw Michael Hedges, he came out in Superman underoos, and he had this colander, like this metal helmet on his head, and his braids were coming out through the helmet, and he had a big stick of incense on the end of his guitar. And I didn't so much want to be him at that point. I mean, I was impressed and everything. God, he was a great artist, though. Wow, I've never played this song on this guitar. You get a new guitar, and you really, especially when you're me, you start thinking about what the guitar must think. You know, because this thing is old and probably crotchety. I'm sure that for the first several gigs, it's been thinking, what the hell are you doing? Standard tuning was fine. E-A-D-G-B-E. It's worked for 100 years. What is your problem, man? You have to just keep retuning and retuning. Just get to the point, man. Probably doesn't even say man. That's like a beatnik affectation that came in the 50s when this guitar was already like 14 years old. Come to think of it, I was born in 1969. Why on earth am I saying man? You know. More on that later. All I could think during that tune, I ruptured the tendon that runs up the back of this finger this March, falling down a flight of stairs in England. In the morning, I should stress, stone cold sober. In the morning, I fell down, and I don't know if you've had this experience yet, but brace for it. Like, I've gone to a doctor my entire life, and they're like, they'll help you and fix you, right? You have a kidney stone, we're going to operate, we're going to deal with that. Like, right in your mid-40s, they just quit on you. They're like, yeah, something's wrong. They're like, oh, yeah, it's a ruptured tendon. Live with it. And you're like, what? Are we still friends, at least? Can we still be friends? Like, you've dumped me, but it's fine. It's not the flexor tendon, so I can flex for all that, that's fine. But kind of weird. Like, it won't straighten more than that, apparently, ever. Like, get used to that. That's what I mean. They're like, yeah, don't worry about it. What do you got? 2-3 decades. You're going to be planted. It's fine. It's totally fine. Look at it this way. You had 45 years with a completely working extensor tendon. I'm going to play a couple more tunes, and then we're going to take a break because there's amazing food here, which, how about a hand for the catering? That's art. And the bartending, because that's an art, too. As an art, too, ever since our species, what was it, 6,000 years ago in Sumeria, when those stone beakers full of grain, some rainwater got into them and fermented it, and there being precious little else to drink in ancient Sumeria, they drank what was in there, and then they had those two very important thoughts. That thought one, I feel good. Thought two, you look sexy, and our species took off. But also, I'm going to take a break because it's cold. I understand. You're sitting still. I'm working. So, I'm okay. My core temperature is okay. But you must feel like you're at the Letterman show. Because Letterman had this thing at the Ed Sullivan Theater that he would do. He read that audiences found things funnier when it was cold. And so it was super cold in the Ed Sullivan Theater when Letterman did his show. And you guys think I'm funny, which no one ever has before. So that must be working. So that's the other reason I'm going to take a little break. And I'll play this tune. This is called Shirt. It's a song about a shirt, as you probably were guessing. Light a fire, burn up all you know. You've had so much time to let things go, but now you're burning letters in the snow in your backyard. How these years go rolling, you're 33. It's time for the cross. It's time for the Bodhi tree. Still you like to cry, you skin your knee because it's hard, I can see my breath. It's the same old friends on New Year's Eve. It's the same snow that falls on the same old leaves. And there's the same old joy, same old hurt, same old corduroy shirt. Single prop. Old storm windows and the broke-tailed squirrel and the grocery lists and the skateboard girls and oh, your rusty brain cells give you a twirl. Oh no, I've got a kitchen radio, coffee on. I could use a month to lean up on, but still the open road wants to get me gone, so off I go. It's the same old jar of car keys by the door. It's the same old scuffed up floor. It is the same old thirst for more until they put me in the dirt. It's the same old nights alone. It's the same old baby when you are coming home to feel the same old joy, feel the same old hurt. Same old corduroy shirt, same old corduroy shirt. Well, thank you. I'll finish up with this tune. This is called the Knuckleball Suite, and if you're interested in taking any of these tunes home on a record, I have a bunch of my records for sale at that little folding table in the garage. By the way, what an immaculate garage. How about it, people? But that's so I have a bunch of CDs for sale, and and T-shirts and double-walled steel coffee mugs. I've been on the road a long time, and that's how I make my living, is playing shows and then also selling CDs. I know that CDs are gone and that everyone listens to streaming music online, but I don't care. I think you'd be better off with my CD in your car. It'll make you taller. Funny, Scott was the first person to book one of these house concerts. There were 8 of them, and also I sold a whole bunch of records and a whole bunch of commissioned covers and et cetera, et cetera. It was a very, very successful campaign as they go, enough that apparently this is a thing. I was unfamiliar with the Kickstarter thing, so it was my first time, but a lot of blogs called me up and said, how did you do this? What happened? How did you do this? What was your social media strategy? That was the question that I got over and over. And I told them that my social media strategy was pretty simple, and that was to go on the road and play shows for 22 years, treating audiences with the deference of knowing that they actually showed up and took, forget about the money, they took a moment of their lives. They took a night out of their lives to take a chance on this, and to treat that with respect and to try to play real music, and then do a Kickstarter campaign. So it's 22 years of a certain way of life, and then do a Kickstarter campaign, and it's going to go pretty good. So that's my social media strategy right there, pal. Why did I suddenly become Bill Murray in Caddyshack during that? That was deeply weird. It is. It's the Jesuit training. Yeah, it's Catholic with a small c. Is the deal. That's the deal. Both. I mean, I'm a big C and a small C Catholic, and it really sort of, you can, all those classes in cosmology and English, man. It's just That's funny. I just laughed because I'm thinking of the first line of this song. Let me preface it by saying this. One of my favorite quotes by the great Samuel Beckett, the great Irish playwright, is, he went inside and he wrote, "It is cold out. It is raining. It was not cold out. It was not raining." Remember that 4 seconds from now. It is a warm summer evening, I can just hear the knuckleball sweep. It is a warm summer evening, I can just hear the knuckleball sweep. I can hear the clover hum along, I can hear the rain clouds, and they are finding their feet. This town is a talisman, it's a vanishing breed. This town is a talisman, and we are a vanishing breed. But our song is a first year, the older lost in the weeds. Billy C is drinking Sandy Man port down at the old cafe. Billy C is drinking Sandy Man port down at the old cafe. The little river goes by slow, the little river, it likes it that way. Says she barefoot in the backyard, calling out to that star above the pine. She's barefoot in the backyard, calling out to that star above the pine. Yeah, but once the star answers, Sal, you are the wine, you are the wine, you are the wine, you are the wine. My brother Franklin is the ace, oh, he is a wily sport. My brother Franklin is the ace, and oh, he is a wily sport. Going down to the old cafe to sit with Bill and drink the Sandy Man port. And it's a warm summer evening, I hear the sweet. It's a warm summer evening, don't you hear the knuckleball sweep? Don't you hear the clover hum along, the rain clouds finding their feet? The clover hums along, and aren't these summer evenings where we all used to meet? All of these warm summer evenings are where we once and again shall all meet. Thank you so much. We'll take a little break. I will be back. Thank you. I just came from the Guru's website. I'm still washing off the smell. Why don't he just go on TV and say pay up or go to hell. I was looking if he had something to say. Lately it's been hard to get through my day, looking for something I don't know. I was looking for a better way to go. Something missing deep inside of me, but that's as common as the rain. I'm long on good intentions. I got zero tolerance for pain. Tell me, am I not like everyone you find? Don't we try? Ain't it hard to be kind? And the ones we love, we hurt them so. We're just looking for a better way to go. I've been going crazy. All of the sirens from the past. Am I too lazy to lash my sorry ass to the mast? Every day I lose another chunk of myself. Every day there's more junk up on my shelf. Yeah, the biggest joke of all is the joke that everybody knows. And it goes, time is the only road, and we all know exactly where time goes. And don't give me a destination different from the rest. Don't tell me I'll win if I tried my best. I just hope there's someone there to know. And say he helped me find a better way to help me find a better way to help me find a better way to go. Thank you very much. I think that's the first time I played that tune on this guitar. It's early days. It's the honeymoon with me and this guitar. The blush is still on the rose with this guitar. I'm sure we will frustrate each other over the next 30 years. I went out and rode about 25 miles on that Silver Comet Trail. That is the most pleasant bike trail that I've been on, and I've been on a lot of them. I'm an avid cyclist. Silver Comet Cycles, you can rent yourself a little cruiser bike there for like $10 an hour. It's fantastic. It's 65 miles to the Alabama border, so I didn't have time or inclination. There's only so much that you can do, only so much that you can do. Take it from me, I tell you true, only so much that you can do. you can say. Only so much that you can say. Take it from me, it works that way. Only so much that you can say, but it can get you by. It can get you by. It can get you by. Oh, 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 Only so much that you can be. Only so much that you can be. Give it to you, give it to me. There's only one thing that we know. It comes for free, it comes for free, and it can get you high. It can get you high. It can make you cry. It can get you by. Oh, 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 Thank you very much. Wow. Crickets. That's like a performer's nightmare, right? Like you finish a tune and then... Here's a song. Songs, I mean, I write a song about every week. Well, I write a song every week. I write a song every Tuesday. I've been doing this for 2.5 years now. Because I used to write slowly. And I would say to people, oh yeah, you know, they come in little clusters, about a half dozen songs every year or so, and every couple of years I make a record. And like most things that you say about yourself, you realize that you're just saying that because it's convenient to say it, and it makes some sense, you know. And so I just got a little ornery, and I decided to write a song every single Tuesday for the past couple of years, and it's been great. Man, your mind empties out pretty clear. Like, you write 6 or 7 tunes, and then it's just... I actually wrote a tune this spring called Trees Are Cool, which is the sign of a truly emptied mind, you know. That's once you have nothing to say. But this one, the thing is, if you write a lot of songs, you prepare yourself for this thing that happens. And this song just arrived in my head as though it was being played on some weird radio station that only broadcast to my head. I was driving a car in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and I pretty much could have just taken dictation. I mean, this wrote itself. This is called Just Before the War. We used to hate that little fucker. We used to beat him up. And when he cried, it made us hate him more. I mean, Jesus, kids are awful. Boys especially. We used to taunt him all the way to his screen door. But all this just before the war. All this was the little town would get all lit up on a tall summer night. The high school girls would smoke behind the store. And if you could get a car, you could go out and drive around down to the lake. You could sit down by the shore. But all of this is just before the war. All this was. Everything changes, that's what they say. But oh, you believe it when the world falls away. That little fucker was brave. It turns out I wasn't. You learn just what that means, just what it doesn't. But now the years go like they go. You rake leaves, you shovel snow. Probably you're no different than before. And the town still gets all lit up on a tall summer night. The light shines down through my window to my floor. And I think about the time before the war. I think about the time. I smell a radio hit, don't you? And profanity, shame, and personal transformation, man. That stuff is flying off the shelves in America. I'm just trying to jump on that marketing bandwagon. Somebody started it. I got a feeling they've been gone a while. They roped me into it. There wasn't nothing I could do. I got a feeling they were just kidding about that extra mile. The early birdie got it. Ain't nothing left for me and you. What do we do? They didn't say. Work it all through and back again. Putting out time, we'll leave it down in. How long it gonna be till we're back in the wind? Some kind of sedative slipped into it, passes for my higher mind. I gotta hand it to them, they got me thinking that it's me. Oh, I've been dreaming, wide awake, you know the flying kind. New whistle blowing, let's just go see what we can see. What do we do? They didn't say. Work it on through and back again. Putting out time, we leave it down in. How long it gonna be until we're back in the bed? And if you want to know the truth of it, I probably could have half-assed my way through the rest of the deal, but something wouldn't let me. Something wouldn't let me. What do we do? They didn't say. Work it all through and back again. Putting out time and leave it down in. How long it gonna be until we're back in the wind? We're going back in the wind. We're going back in the wind. We're going back in the wind. Oh, we're going back in the Thank you. Woo. Well, here's the heart of the matter. This is a tune that's on the record called Trempolo, and it's sort of what started all this for me. I had this thing happen, which is an ordinary thing, but it's not ordinary when it happens to you, which is that just a real good friend of mine died, and he left me a very substantial quantity of marijuana, which he had used to, mitigate the effects of the disease that did him in, and it's not my thing. I can't. I'm square. I am so square that I would actually. That's the term I would reach for. I'm square enough that I would say to you, I'm square, and that this would help you differentiate me in your mind from your groovy friends. So it was the upshot is that this pretty largish plastic bag of illicit substance sat in my sock drawer for a year and a half, and it got super dried out. So apparently the humidity levels in my sock drawer are nice and low. So I got that going for me, which is nice, And but then then as I'm a curious person, as you may have gathered, and I began to wonder, like, does it spoil? Does it go bad? So I called a groovy friend of mine on the phone, and I said, does it? And she said, bring it here. And I brought it to her house, and I didn't know that that this was how this was done, but she put it into a coffee grinder and ground it into a fine black dust, poured that into a crock pot full of melted butter, and we cooked it there for a day. Apparently, at a low temperature, the cannabinoids, the THC, bond with the fat molecules of the... I'm a Wikipedia sort of guy, as you're... And then we put it out on the porch to cool. This was March in about 2011, and that turned out to be a tactical error because it had been out there for maybe 20 minutes and went back out there, and this squirrel was busily eating most of it, just eating... Yeah, like I open the door and like we freeze into this like tableau, like mano a squirrelo for just a second there, and then he like just runs away, leaving these buttery squirrel paw prints on the porch, and I was mortified because I thought, well, he's dead, like that was many human doses, and so I went and I Googled THC toxicity in small mammals, and first, whoa, there's a lot there. There's volumes of information, including, I gotta say, the most entertaining sentence that I read pretty much that whole year. And the sentence was, scientists have encountered great difficulty inducing THC toxicity in small mammals. Which kind of tells the whole story. Like, they're working on it, apparently, persistently, very hard. Although that seems like a one-vector experiment, right? Like, well, Stan... then give him more, So my little guy lived, which I'm glad to know. Although I do wonder what the rest of his day was like, like ate his whole stash of black walnuts all at once. Sat up in a tree just going, you ever just look at your paw? Right there at the... But I got this song out of it. Bright black road, a ribbon in the snow. West by north, from here to Trempolo. With everything that we do and do not know. Why can't you just say I love you? An iron heart and a fire in the head. Birds and clouds all up in a sky of lead. Every place that you make your lonesome bed. just say I love you. Thousand pages and everyone the same. A million trees, never knowing grief or shame. If it's true that we go as we came, why can't you just say I love you? Oh, why can't you just say I love you? Trees just stand there every day, 10 below, 30 below. Trees just stand there. Old Jack Pine, twisted mulberry, swaying willow. Trees are cool. Water flows up them, but I read that it also flows down. They grow some leaves, and then they blaze in the autumn. Trees take in our breathing, and then they breathe it back to us. No trees, no life. Trees are awesome. I wanna be like a tree. 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 And just to be clear about this whole tree thing, I don't necessarily want to just stand there every day. I don't want to grow leaves. Well, not especially. But I just want to be good. Good like a tree. I want to be 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 like a tree. Every bird that ever sang from any leaf on any tree and made a poet want to write a poem about how that bird song made the poet feel about someone the poet really, 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 really loved. Well, you had to have a tree for that bird to sing from, and you had to have a tree so that that poet could breathe. And maybe that poet got to kiss that someone. And if it did, I hope that it happened in the shade of a tree. I like like trees, I like trees, I like trees, I like trees, I like trees. Trees are cool, trees are cool, trees are cool. Trees are cool, trees are cool. You're welcome. Here's a song. I wrote this song on the 805 in California with my friend Matt Lorenz. We wrote this together in a moving car. We almost got killed. Toyota Camry lost control in the far right lane and spun through every lane of traffic and wound up hitting the abutment right in front of us. But we had enough room. The thing that I always remember about that is you never want to see that. I log about maybe 60,000 miles a year in cars, and that's the thing you can't control. Like, I'm a pretty safe driver, but you can do everything wrong and die. But so I like when things go south several hundred yards ahead of you, hit the brakes hard, but also hit your hazard lights, because then the truckers, that's a signal to them, because they have a lot more momentum. But the thing that I will remember is Matt was writing a lyric from this song down when the whole catastrophe began, and I hit the brakes hard enough, but not hard enough to lock him up, and I hit the hazard light, but according to him, I also said, "Oh dear." And so he looked up expecting to, I don't know what, to see like some pelicans, Anyway, we finished this song. I've never felt so compelled to finish a song. We figured we better finish this song. And this is called Remember the Milkman. There should have been crickets on the recording. The dress that you hated was always my favorite thing that you ever wore. Lips on a ladle and rocking the cradle, dead leaves on the kitchen floor. No one remembers the milkman. His grandson sells phones at the mall. Somebody spray painted, no one can save you on the side of the library wall. Someone stopped feeding the stray dog of evening, but the donut shop is still smelling good. And children are hiding behind aluminum siding that's painted to look just like wood. The zookeeper's feeding leaves to the tired old giraffe at the zoo. I got over all of the others. I'll get over you. I got over all of the others. I'll get over you. Thank you. I can tell this guitar is going, now that's a song form I recognize. I know that kind of here. I'm going to throw this guitar a bone. And here you go. Here's a song I think that was written before this guitar was built. Yeah, 10 years. I never cared much for moonlit skies. I never winked back at fireflies. But now that the stars are in your eyes, I'm beginning to see the light. I never went in for afterglow or candlelight on the mistletoe. But now that you turn the lamp down low, I'm beginning to see the light. You know, I used to ramble through the park where I was shadow boxing in the dark. And then you came and caused a spark, and that's a bowl on fire now. I never made love by lantern shine. Oh, I never saw rainbows in my wine. And now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. I used to ramble through the park where I was shadow boxing in the dark. And then you came and then you caused it. It's a spark and that's a full on fire. Now I never made love by lantern shine. I never saw rainbows in my wine. But now that your lips are burning mine, I'm beginning to see the light. Now that your lips, they are burning mine, I'm beginning. He's beginning to see the light. Thank you. All right, I'll go back to playing that newfangled music now that this guitar is what the, here we go. Who knows how much I've loved you? You know I love you still. Will I wait a lonely lifetime? If you want me to, I will. And if I ever saw you, I didn't catch your name, but it doesn't really matter. I will always feel the same. Love you forever and forever. Love you with all my heart. Love you whenever we're together. Love you when we're apart. And when at last I find you, the song will fill the air. Sing it loud so I can hear you. Make it easy to be near you. All the things you do endear me to you. Oh, you know I will. I will. La da 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 da. I could feel the little guy going, well, that's okay. That's modern, but it's okay. I like the chord changes in that. That's all right. Who was that? Who was that whippersnapper? Mr. Paul McCartney. Mr. Paul McCartney. Whippersnapper. Well, I'm just going to play a few more tunes here. Just a couple more tunes because it's still cold, isn't it? How you doing? You doing okay? So, thank you so much, Scott and Laura, for having us here to your house. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Thanks for renting the Pillars of Fire. I appreciate that. I'll be packing those up and taking them with me on the airplane tomorrow. I was in Ireland when I wrote this tune. No, I'm sorry, I was in Ohio. It's about Ireland. I was in Ireland when I was sort of inspired to write this tune. Here's what happened. I was traveling with this dude from Mitchellstown named Patsy O'Brien. Great guitar player and singer, Irish. And we had traded tours. He came and opened for me here on a little leg in the Midwest in the States, and then I went over there and we played this gig that wasn't so great in Limerick, which is a tough town. Limerick's a tough town, and the gig was okay, but it wasn't that great. But then afterwards, this wonderful thing that happens over there, which is that they locked the doors of the pub. They had what they call a lock-in, and they just sat up, drinking and talking, and there were all these 13 and 12 and 14-year-old children over in the corner just playing traditional music, like little kids just playing, the people's music, like 400-year-old tunes, that sort of, it was just beautiful to see young people doing something old. It makes me think that we're going to be okay. I mean, we're not going to be okay, but things are going to be okay. And so, like, I'm sort of marveling at this, and then the dude who runs the joint comes over to me and he says, we have a whole other thing going off in another part of the property. And he takes me there, and there's these double doors, and like there's smoke creeping out from under the doors. And as I'm approaching, I hear like, and there's a full-on rave going in there. There's like 800 Irish 16-year-olds dancing to a couple of Brazilian DJs. And this would have been 4 or 5 years ago, which is to say that I was then as I am now, to a 16-year-old pretty much. I might as well have been in just an anthropological camera stationed 5.5 feet off the ground. Like, I'm irrelevant. I'm grown up. Like they'd be dancing and they'd look at me and Patsy and they'd be like, that was it. Just long enough to deduce that we were not their species. And so we're just sort of floating through the pheromones and the smoke and the MDMA haze. And there's this girl, and there's this scrum of Irish boys dancing, like they're sort of drawn in by her but drawn away by their upbringing, so there's sort of like a gravity well like right around her, and we're watching this as you do. And Patsy, and this only happens to you in Ireland, people just say stuff like this off the cuff. He leans over and he says in my ear, he says, the female humpback whale is considerably larger and stronger than the male. So their mating dance is as such. She just rises to the surface and turns over. Nothing going to happen, And so then 3 males sort of swim up around her, and there's the one on the left and the one on the right. And then the poignant one, the one that I find poignant, the one who's just sort of underneath, who's just there for the survival of the species. Let's call him Wingman Whale, Nothing's happening for him. Like the entire time she's thinking to herself, do I fancy the fella on the left or the fella on the right? And I sort of absorbed this in my ear, and then we just watched the primates. So this song is called Girl in the High Tops. Young girl in the high tops is speaking of Shelley to me. I'm drinking red wine, I feel fine. She tells me we lose all the best to the sea. We lose all the best to the sea. Show is over, the place is almost empty. The bartenders put up the chairs. Every song that I sang is gone on its way into the air. Is gone on its way to the air. Gone, gone, all the way gone. Everyone all the way gone to the light. Amen. She tells me these songs really moved her. She tells me she goes to school around here. She tells me next spring she and her boyfriend are going to Dublin to live for a year. To Dublin to live for a year. Gone, gone, all the way gone. Everyone all the way gone to the light. I'm in. Tell her I lived in Dublin once. I managed not to say I was young then. And she says, right on, but I'm gone. My mind's eyes wandering forward to when the pretty young girl in the high tops is writing poems in her flatland rap minds. Tonight it's snowing in Cleveland and I'm no one to tell her, but we lose the best things to time. Oh, we lose all the best things to time. Now when we're gone, gone all the way gone, everyone all the way gone to the light. Gone, gone, all the way gone, everyone all the way gone to the light. Amen. 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 Thank you so much. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming out. Once again, thanks to Scott and Lauren. Thank you. I'll finish up with this. I want to know where your sympathies lie. I want to know where your sympathies lie. What comes out of you when you see me sinking down? Are you with me or just standing by? I want to know where your sympathies lie. I want to know what's the price you pay. I want to know what's the price you pay. What's the thing you had to give a name so you could quit running from it every day? I want to know what's the price you pay. You don't have to tell me that it's tough. I know it's tough. You don't have to tell me none of that stuff. We go through this the same. It's just everything you got to carry, everything you got to lay down, so you can finally find the sound of your dignified name. Oh, I want to know, who do you think you are? I want to know, who do you think you are? That you need to bring forth in your fleeting time underneath the big blue sky. I want to know where your sympathies lie. I want to know where your sympathies lie. Oh, where your sympathies lie. Thank you so much. Thanks for the company. I'll see you down the road, I swear. That I can do. Thank you. Yeah. This is here's a tune I wrote. I'm happy to play this for you. I haven't played this on this guitar. See, it's all new. This is a tune I wrote 22 years ago, and I loved it, and I played it for a lot of people. And then out of the blue, this producer from a show called Felicity called up and said that they wanted to use this song on their show. And my manager said, well, we'll get right back to you. And she hung up. She called me. We called a lawyer. We said, we don't know. What do we ask for? And he said, ask them for $2,000. And so we went back to them and we said, we want $2,000. And they said, sure. We're like, damn it. But then the royalty checks started coming in from the usage on it. And you're all adults, so you know exactly what that means. Like a few tens of thousands of dollars drops into your life. And pretty much you put glass block in the basement. And you pay down that one credit card. And you stick some of it in an IRA. You go out to one very nice dinner and on with your life. You know what I'm talking about. Like, that's the beauty of adulthood, isn't it? So anyway, apparently this is a song about skinny white people going to school in New York City and figuring out which of them they're going to sleep with. That's apparently what I was writing about. Man, I thought that was a stupid show until that first royalty check came in. And then I thought, this is deeply moving stuff. This is the stuff that human drama is made out of. And I started watching Dawson's Creek obsessively. On the way up, I felt clean, driving along through a waking dream, the rollingest hills that I'd ever seen. I felt like the best me I'd ever be. On the way up, I just knew, oh, the night before, I'd been good, I'd been true, I'd been honest and brave, and over you. It was the easiest thing to do. But I'm going down now. I'm going down now. I'm going down to where my demons are. I'm going down. I'm going down. Wave if you see me from afar. If you see me on your way up. On your way up, understand, I wish I had put so much more in your hand than the better part of every heart's bitter land. I swear there is more here than said. On the way up, think of me, and I'll think of you, and we'll think of we. You will always mean what you mean to me. And one day we'll look back and see. But I'm going down now. I'm going down now. I'm going down to where my angels live. Oh, I'm going down. I'm going down. Please remember and please forgive. Thank you so much. I'll see you down the road. Thank you.